it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Excited to be talking all things sleep solutions.
Yes. This is my first live ever, so
Same. I literally, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know if I know how to do this. So,
look at us getting all millennial today.
yeah, I think this is form though and changes it up from Zoom a little bit, which is nice. I think we've all had our fair share of Zoom these past few
Yes.
weeks.
Yes. Done with that.
So I guess we get started.
Yes. Let's do
Okay.
it.
Awesome. Well, for those of you who are joining us, welcome, welcome. My name is Rachel, and I am one of the birth and postpartum doulas with Rooted Birth. I also am an infant sleep consultant, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm also joined here with Megan.
Yes, I am Megan. I am the owner of Rooted Birth, and I do labor doula, all the things, and also teach childbirth education classes. And I'm excited to learn a lot of the things today that Rachel's going to share. I told her before this that I was just very much of the mind of just give them a boob and hopefully they'll sleep. So I'm really excited to learn all these tips and be able to help my postpartum moms with all of these tips as well.
Yeah, and the cool thing about what we're going to be talking about today is, of course, when you're thinking about sleep or implementing no sleep solutions, you want to start, generally around 6 weeks. And that way you're starting to implement these practices, right? Baby's not really ready to sleep through the night at that time, but you're implementing these practices, getting good routines in place so that when they are ready to sleep through the night, you've already, gotten that, again, those routines in place. But the sleep solutions that we're going to be talking about are really applicable for babies of all ages. And I think I've even done sleep solutions for kiddos as old as like 4 or 5. So sometimes if we don't implement good sleep solutions early on, kiddos who are a little bit older can still struggle. So just know that if you're tuning in, these solutions are helpful for your little ones of all ages. And I don't have to tell you the importance of restful sleep, and it's important for the entire family, right? Helps our cognitive development, helps our emotional development, physical health and wellness. I don't know if any of you have ever gone without sleep for a night or a good chunk of sleep for a night. It seems like everything is intensified, right? Our emotions are heightened. We're physically exhausted, of course. Our cognitive function is diminished. So we know that, again, restful sleep is just essential for the entire family unit. And if baby's not sleeping well, if our little ones aren't sleeping well, neither are we. So hopefully these solutions that we talk about will get you on track for more restful sleep for the family. And the solutions that we're going to talk about are no-cry sleep solutions. So you might be familiar with the cry it out approach, right? There are a couple of different methods where there is, complete control of baby's schedule during the day, making sure that they're getting enough calories during the day, and then really sort of pushing their limits at night. And if they wake, denying them of comfort, denying them of milk. There are definitely some solutions that involve just encouraging the baby to cry it out, and eventually they'll fall asleep, right? And we don't want to be doing that because it breaks the trust, right? So when babies are born, believe it or not, they're not born trusting. You have to build that trust from the moment that they're born and show them like, hey, I'm here, I'll nurture you, I'll care for you, and you can trust me. And part of when we look at sleep training, we want to make sure that we're not breaking down any of that trust, that we're only serving that we're working to build that trust through the sleep training. So these are our no cry sleep solutions. We're definitely not at any time recommending that you encourage your baby to cry it out or deny them of comfort, deny them of nourishment. We'll talk more about all of those things. So feel free to be communicating with us in the chat. Megan's going to try and answer some questions on there. And Megan, please let me know if there are any questions that we should address. Maybe we can leave it up towards the end.
Okay.
We also, I'll talk more about this after, but we also offer no-cry sleep consultations where we can devise a personalized sleep plan for you. And we can even do like a group class if there's a great enough demand. So just keep that in mind as we move through. This is a good overview, but definitely not to replace a consultation or a larger class. So I'm going to start off with really 6 main things that you want to keep in mind when it comes to extending baby sleep durations. All right, and the first and arguably the most important is that babies need to be able to tank up at the end of the day with food and touch. And what I mean by tank up is really just, you know, baby's bedtime is around 7 or 8, between 5 and 7, 5 and 8. That is just time with baby on your chest. Breastfeeding, bottle feeding, skin to skin contact as much as possible. So tanking up at the end of the day. Second is warmth and closeness, right? We know we as adults need this warmth and closeness. Babies need this warmth and closeness to feel safe, to feel secure, and also to turn on a relaxed response. Number 3 is a happy tummy. Well burped, well tooted. I'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Number 4 is all about routine, right? We really need to be sure we're building in a consistent routine for our littles. We want to build healthy expectations for them and to teach them sleep structure. We all thrive on routines, right? And especially little thrive on routines. They want to know what to expect. And so we're building a good sleep routine is vital to ensuring sleep training success. Number 5 is a consistent sleep-inducing environment. The environment plays a huge factor. I can't tell you how many times I have gone in to do sleep consults or work with families on sleep solutions, and really what was keeping their baby from sleeping through the night had to do with some environmental factor, right? And what I mean by that is, you know, the temperature of the room, the comfort of the mattress, the light in the room. I've even remembered that there was one time where it was a certain sound that a neighbor was making every so often in the night, and it took some thinking, like, what is triggering this baby to wake up at this exact moment every night? And it was they drove a motorcycle away, you know, a couple times a night, and so we figured out, you know, maybe we need a louder sound machine. So the environment definitely plays a huge factor. We'll talk about what an ideal environment looks like. And then last but number 6 is patience and flexibility. So babies' needs are constantly changing. Our children's needs are constantly changing. And their personality is developing, right? And so that requires us to really be customizing our approach to them. And it might vary from day to day, it might vary from month to month, year to year, but that patience and flexibility is very, very important. So let's dive into number 1, and that's the tanking up on food and touch. Again, we really want to be encouraging cluster feeding and total skin-to-skin contact between 5 p.m. and bedtime. This need is going to really increase once you've gone back to work because, you know, you've spent hopefully at least a minimum of 6 weeks bonding with your baby, being close to your baby, and then when you go back to work, if you do have to go back to work, even if it's just part-time, you're spending time away from your baby, and your baby misses you, right? And they want the time that you're at home to be completely devoted to them, at least until they go to bed. So between 5 a.m. and bedtime, skin-to-skin contact, encouraging cluster feeding as much as possible, lots of holding, just reconnecting after a long and busy day. And the other thing I want to note when it comes to tanking up on food and touch is there may be a need for us to consider dream feeds right before bed. And this need for a dream feed really varies based on babes. So if I were doing a consultation with a family and talking about a dream feed, I would say let's not start out with a dream feed and let's maybe reassess that need. And for those of you who don't know what a dream feed is, it would essentially be maybe baby goes to bed at 8 p.m., but you don't go to bed until 10 or 11, you're going to pop in there and kind of wake me up a little bit, bring them to the breast or give them a bottle, and feed them before you go to sleep. That way you're maximizing your sleep duration. Again, I don't like to just default say, everybody do a dream feed, because I really like to remove that need, and really look at extending sleep durations without having to do that. But there are some little who really just do need that additional feed, and it does help you to extend those sleep durations as well. So again, rather than a blanket statement, everybody do a dream feed, it should be assessed, but it is certainly a consideration or a tool that you could explore. Megan, everything feel good so far?
Yeah, we used to do dream feeds with our oldest. I can't remember if I ever did it with the twins, but it did work really well, until I needed to be away. And like if I wanted to be away in the evenings and we wanted to have a babysitter, that became something that was kind of a struggle because I would need to get back like in time for when that normal dream feed was.
Right.
So that is something like if you're starting a routine, think about like, do you want to be able to, or are you going to be able to handle this like forever going forward, or are we going to have to take this away eventually?
Exactly, and thinking through sustainability piece is huge because there are so many solutions that are just not sustainable. And
Right.
like for example, my parents, they told me I had colic, which I feel is a very huge umbrella term for much more specific digestion and malabsorption, but they had a really hard time with me, and so their solution was, let's put her in the back of the Bronco and drive her around the neighborhood until she falls asleep, right? And it worked. First, that it really helps, but that's not a sustainable way to get your baby to sleep every night. So
Right.
it's definitely speaking to that. Like, you never want to start a routine that you don't want to have to keep doing, especially with little ones. So, and then, too, with a dream feed, there is the potential to start off with a dream feed, and then as baby does intake more calories during the day, does grow a little bit, or as solids have started to be introduced, there is the ability to remove that dream feed. So it can be a temporary solution needed. So now let's talk about warmth and closeness. So it's really important to keep your house at a good temp, and I know the it, the temperature outside is varying so much from day to day. Texas,
Right.
right, especially, it's like, what is going on? But you really want to keep your house between about 71 and 74 degrees. That's really most ideal. And you want to really think about dressing your baby in multiple thin layers rather than something that's thick or bulky, or really just too warm. So with that, when we're talking about layers, you might have, and I'm speaking probably more towards a newborn right now, or just an infant, but would be a onesie, and I really consider onesies as underwear. Okay, so you would have a onesie on, and then like a sleeper, like footsie pajamas, and then a sleep sack or a woombi, or a safe sleeping, wearable sleeping blanket over that. If it's cold in your house, cold outside, you might even add socks to that setup. But it really does help to have those multiple thin layers. I know it's not easy in the night with diaper changes to do all those layers, but it will help your babe. So, and then if you are swaddling your baby, if you're not using a wearable blanket or a whoopee or something like that, that's kind of pre-made kind of swaddling device, make sure you're swaddling snugly, right? And make sure that there's no material around baby's head, baby's face, anything like that. Follow safe sleep practices with your littles. Then room air circulation is also really important. So when I say, you want to keep it between 71 and 74, you also want to have some air circulation or movement. So whether it's a fan or an air purifier, ideally you're avoiding direct boundaries on babies. So if there's a fan like right in the center of the room, maybe the crib or safe sleeping space is a little bit off to the side, rather than directly on them. Or if you're using a tower fan, have it blowing in the room, maybe not directly on baby. Um, I really like air purifiers personally. I think that the nice thing about the air purifiers is, right, they're circulating the air in the room, but they're also making white noise. So have some dual purposes there, which is nice. If you're the kind of parent who are noticing that your baby's waking up every 15 to 20 minutes, like, look, you've got a great feed, your baby's got a clean diaper, you lay them down, and you're just every 15 or 20 minutes, baby's routinely waking up, I would probably address temperature first and foremost. You know, that doesn't seem like it might have to do with glucose. I mean, it of course could. It could mean that that baby's hungry, right? They vary on how often, how frequent they need to eat, but really I would say 15 to 20-minute wake ups are more like an indication of being too cold or too hot. So keep that in mind.
Rachel, what about the humidity level of the room?
You know, I think that's something that's a little bit harder to control. You know, I would say if generally speaking, what homes are supposed to be 15%, I think it's just what I've read. So I would say if we're about there, then that's fine. I know it's harder in the winter, dry air. You know, 50-60% humidity should be fine.
Yeah, and I always thought it helped using a cool mist humidifier in the room with baby, or in our room even, just especially in the winter. I think that helped a lot, just keeping everyone, I don't know, not as like bad of allergies, things like that. And I think that helps. So I saw a question in the comments that, you know, you don't want it to be like hot yoga or something, and putting those warm mist humidifiers always makes me a little nervous. So I'd look for a cool mist one if you're going to add that.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great point, great question, and you're absolutely right. Keeping those nasal passages nice and moist is definitely a good idea, especially I'm here in Santa Fe, New Mexico right now, and it is so dry. I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
it's it's a big shift from San Antonio, of course, where humidity is like 90% every day, but it definitely impacts your whole body. So some humidity is definitely. So again, we're just doing general overviews of each of these points, right? Our sleep consultations or sleep solutions class definitely go in much more detail, but if you have any questions in the chat, anything else we should address, Megan?
I think that's good so far.
Okay. Right. So let's talk about happy bellies. Use numerous gas elimination techniques with babes, especially if you do know that your little one is particularly gassy or has trouble with malabsorption, maldigestion. So if you're breastfeeding, I'm sure that most of you are seasoned breastfeeders who are tuning in, but you want to burp for 1 minute in between breaths and then at least 1 minute after the feeding as well. And if we're not finding burps, or we're feeling like baby still has some gas retained, you might try like laying them on their back and then hooling those little hips. I usually just kind of grab both legs and just kind of move them around in a clockwise motion and kind of hula them a little bit. You can hold them upright and kind of lean them forward, lean them back, lean them forward. Sometimes that really helps to move that air up, not moving quickly, right, and give them a little chin rest as you do it, but those slight movements. If you want to rub baby's belly, that's fine as well, but just make sure that if you're ever rubbing your baby's belly, you're always rubbing in a clockwise direction, never counterclockwise. We always want to be going with the flow of digestion and not against the flow of digestion. So clockwise motions on that belly. And then there's another gas elimination technique, which I found particularly helpful. And you know, imagine my baby here with their face kind of cradled in my hand right here, my back. And this is kind of a typical easy newborn burping position, right? When you kind of lean them forward a little bit and then lift up. The other thing you can do is hold baby. So baby's head's right here. They're facing this way. You can kind of hold the back of their neck, support that head and neck. You can take your other hand and place it just in their abdomen, maybe right above or just right below the navel, and kind of lean them forward and back. And what you're kind of doing is creating a wedge, essentially, and that can sometimes help to move the air up as well. So again, we talked about the hula, sitting up, laying back, clockwise belly rubs, the wedge rub, and then of course I'm sure a lot of you know when you lay your baby on their back to change them or anything, if you kind of just pump those legs forward and back or bicycle those legs, that's a good way to get that gas out. But making sure baby has a happy tummy is really essential in making sure that they're getting good and restful sleep. You might consider a probiotic too. If you're noticing that you think baby's having issues with maldigestion, malabsorption, if they're not regular in their bowels, if they seem just especially uncomfortable, then consider an infant probiotic. There are a number of good strains out there. A lot of them come in powdered form, which is nice. If you're breastfeeding, you can just put a little bit of powder on the nipple and let them run. You can add it to a bottle if you need. But I do think infant probiotics are great. And then if you are breastfeeding mamas, probiotics for yourself too, and being considerate of your diet, keeping a log if need be, can be real helpful. And then along the lines of a happy tummy, just make sure baby's always going to sleep with a completely dry diaper. So even if you're just like, well, it's just a little bit of urine, right? Just a tiny bit, that can really disrupt that view. So I always just make sure I'm laying baby down with a freshly dry diaper. And again, that could save you an hour or so of sleep. So it's always a good idea. And then another suggestion when it comes to a happy belly, and we do, utilize essential oils for a number of things within our doula practice, right? But one thing that I've seen it be especially for in the postpartum period or in sleep training are you can do it like a drop or two of chamomile essential oil plus a carrier oil, right? We never want to apply directly to the skin, either for you or for baby. Always make sure to use a carrier oil. And you can rub that onto the belly. Another blend by Young Living is called Guys, and that is a great essential oil to promote good digestion and happy bellies. And that Guys has helped with everything from to runny poop, like diarrhea, to constipation, gas. I mean, it's really kind of a one-stop shop when it comes to belly oils. That's just Digize. And again, just use discretion when it comes to essential oils, especially with newborns. I'm always really cautious with it, even with infants and children. Trust your mom instincts when it comes to that. Only apply the oils if you feel comfortable. And if you have any more questions about essential oils, or you need help purchasing them, or you're curious about them, we're a great resource for you on that front. So any questions right now, Megan?
Yeah. Actually, let's wait a little bit until we get more to the sleep environment.
Awesome. So let's talk about routine now. This is really a very important piece of no cry sleep training, is establishing a great routine. You want to start your sleep routine at least an hour before you want that final lay down. So if you want babe to be asleep by 8, you want to start your final sleep routine about 7 p.m. Okay, so 1 hour before. And I'm going to recommend you pick 3 easy activities that you can do every single night, no matter where you are. You need to make sure that you're creating a routine that you can travel with, right? The worst thing is going on vacation, going to visit family, and it totally disrupts your sleep training, right? And throws your success out the window. So make sure that you're creating a routine that can move with you. So 3 activities, like examples of activities I'm sure you all know, but like bath, pajamas, massage. If you are a baby every single night, then bath would not be part of your sleep routine. Okay, so if you're like, you only bathe baby every couple nights, that's not part of the routine because this needs to be something that you're doing every single night. So still bathe your baby when you want to bathe your baby, but it's just not within that hour. So you're doing the same 3 activities in the same order in the same room every single night, the exact same way. It's really, we're conditioning our babes right now. So let's have an example. Baby, we choose our activities to be bath, to be books, and to be infant massage. Okay, so we start out, and we'll say our bedtime is 8 p.m. Let's start out with what you're going to do is make sure that you're breastfeeding or bottle feeding before, in between every activity, okay? So we're starting out at 7 with the nursing, and it could be a brief nursing session. Remember, we're kind of tanking up baby at this point. We're topping them off over and over. So we'll start out with a breastfeeding session. We'll do a bath. We'll kind of get baby nice and warm and snuggly, wrap them in a towel. We'll do another breastfeeding session again, or bottle feeding session. These might just be, it might be just an ounce or two. If you're bottle feeding, it might be 10 minute breastfeeding session. So nurse, bath, nurse. Then maybe you do the massage, and infant massage is amazing. I'm going to give a shout out to our resident infant massage therapist, Kim. She is amazing, and she works with us at Rooted Birth. She does prenatal massage, postpartum massage, just massage in general, even if you're not childbearing. And she also teaches infant massage through Loving Touch Infant Massage. If you're interested in in-home class or any resources for infant massage, let us know and we'd be happy to connect you. So you're breastfeeding, bathing, breastfeeding, massaging babe, right? Helps to promote digestion, relaxation, nursing baby again after that massage. And then maybe you do read a book, or, and it has to be the same book every night while you're in those first, 4 weeks, 6 weeks of sleep training. You want to make sure it's even the same book. I know that sounds crazy and you're going to get so sick of reading the same thing over and over, but it builds into their routine. It builds into those expectations. And then, of course, the last thing that you're going to do is breastfeed before laying baby down. Am I frozen again?
A little bit, yeah. Uh-oh. Okay, you're back. Yes, good. Oh, now I can't hear you. No volume. Mm-mm. Answer a couple of those questions real quick while she's readjusting and we're trying to get volume back. I saw a question about the humidity level, and in San Antonio, it gets really humid. If you live anywhere in Texas, it gets pretty humid here. I don't think it's a concern, mostly because you are probably at those times where it is very humid using air conditioning in your house. And when you're using air conditioning, it takes a lot of the moisture out of the air. So those humidifiers can put moisture back in. So you can just decide, do I still need this right now? Or am I getting a good enough balance between like the humidity outside and the air conditioner inside? And then I saw another one about tips for that is always, transitions are always really hard. Hey, I still can't hear you. I don't know where the volume is. I don't know if you guys can hear her, then pipe up in the comments. But I think transitions are difficult for babies, especially because we've gone through and created all of these routines. And so when you want to change something, it's going to take a while to transition to that new thing. So it could be that you start small and you put like a co-sleeper or something next to your bed, and baby starts out the night nursing or whatever you normally did, and then you put them into that co-sleeper. You can't hear me either, Melanie? Okay, maybe let's just end this one and start over. Not start over, but we'll come right back on. Okay.
Let's one more time, and then if not, we could head over to the Zoom platform.
Yes, that sounds good to me.
Do you want to type in the comments the Zoom number? That way everybody has it in case we get disconnected.
Yes.
Okay. And my question about changing routines, because I couldn't see what you were saying.
Okay, so there was just a question about like, what about when you're transitioning like from co-sleeping to a crib, or maybe from a crib in the parents' room to a crib in your own room? What kind of tips do you have for transitioning?
Well, there are a lot of factors that go into that, and I think it's really unique for every family. That's why I think for really specific questions like that, more appropriate. But ultimately, I would recommend that you try and preserve as much consistency as possible. So while there may, of course, be a variation in the room baby sleeping in or the device baby sleeping in, try and preserve some consistency, whether that be that you perform the routine in the same room every night, or you use the same sound machine in your room and in baby's room. You even things as simple as changing out the lighting, like if you have a nightlight that you use in your room or a salt rock lamp, bring that into your room also, or into baby's room, wherever they're transitioning, just to preserve any consistency that you can. And again, that may be better addressed in a one-on-one consultation. I'd be happy to do that with you, but I think the biggest takeaway there is whatever consistency you can preserve, you do. We'll also talk, a big thing is like when you're moving baby out of your bed, in particular, it's like, the heck, they were sleeping so well in my bed, and they're just not sleeping at all in the crib. And there are a couple of reasons for that. One, of course, baby thrives on being close to you. They can smell, they can feel you, they like your warmth. They also really like your mattress. So you probably have a nice memory foam mattress or something like that, right? And then you're putting them into their crib mattress, which for the most part, crib mattresses are firm, right? They're supposed to be firm to be in line with, the American Academy of Pediatrics recommendations when it comes to safe sleep. But they're going from like a nice plush Tempur-Pedic mattress to something super firm. So of course they're not going to sleep well, right? So you'll have to exercise caution here and definitely exercise discretion as a parent. All of these are suggestions. The day, you know what's right and what's safest for your family, but you may consider buying like a memory foam topper to put on top of baby's crib. And again, I would definitely evaluate the safety behind that and make sure that you feel really comfortable and safe with baby sleeping on a memory foam mattress topper. But I will be frank with you, sometimes that is the magic trick for babes, is just having a more warm and welcoming sleep space, rather than that firm crib. Again, it is recommended by the American Academy of Pediatrics, though, to have that firm crib mattress. So decisions we make as parents, right? We have to just weigh risks and benefits all the time, and just please use your discretion. But I hope, and I just wanted to note that the Zoom line is in the comments, so if y'all want to jot that down real quick, just in case we needed to hop over to Zoom. I think if something messes up again, we'll meet you all on that platform. So I mentioned 3 easy activities. In between each of those activities is nursing, and the last activity is nursing. Okay, and again, same activities in the same order, in the same room, the same person doing these activities every night if possible, right? Sometimes we have to attend a meeting or be out for the evening, but maybe right now in the time of COVID is the time to be sleep training your babes, since we're all hopefully staying home and safe, right? Those of us who have the privilege to be, of course. So Again, we're nursing in between or in between every activity, and it's also the last one, and we make sure we're laying baby down with a dry diaper. I would recommend that before that final activity, so in my example, it was reading a book, right before that last nursing session, that you prep the room so that you are doing that last activity in baby's sleep environment. So you turn on the light, you turn the sound machine on, you know, get seated in maybe the recliner or the rocking chair that the final feed. And that way we're prepping baby, we're bringing them into or finishing up their routine in that sleep environment. Eventually, they're going to be conditioned, right? They know when you turn on those lights, when you turn on that sound machine and do all of that, that means sleep is coming next, or a longer sleep duration is coming next. So if you are incorporating a bath as one of your activities, as maybe your first activity, while one parent is bathing baby, if there's, if you're in a dual parent household, or if you have an additional support person in the household, they go in the room and prep the room. That way, after bath time, you come out of the bathroom and you bring baby into their sleep space, right? It's already prepped for them, and they start to think, okay, I know what's coming next, right? And they start to build that anticipation and those expectations, and it works. It really does. So consistency is vital. Small things, even like reading the same book, okay? And again, it's just for the 4 to 6 weeks or so where you're training baby, you're conditioning them, and then you can maybe read a different book, or maybe it could be a different parent doing the routine. There might be more flexibility at that point, but really you have to just stay consistent at first. It's the hardest thing, I'll tell you, is that consistency for 4 to 6 weeks. I work with families, doing sleep consultations and sleep trainings, and that seems to be the hardest part of it, is the parents being consistent. I'm like, look, if you want to do this, we'll do this. But the no cry sleep training does require that big commitment from you. So let's talk about the sleep environment. This is the kind of one of our last considerations, besides obviously being patient and flexible. Highly recommend a noise machine, and it should be some sort of sound machine that goes all night long. There are ones that like turn off after 30 minutes, or if you're using like YouTube, some of them have commercials that break the white noise. None of that. You want a machine that will just go from the time baby lays down until they wake up in the morning. Again, an air purifier works if you prefer to utilize that. There are white noise apps on your phone, YouTube channels as well. So figure that one out. But just white noise, so not music, because think about it, when it's music, like whimsical, their little brains are processing that, right? And so when there's, high pitched sound that might wake them, or low, or any variation changes, the way that they're sleeping. So you want something that's just white noise all night long. It should be a dark room, and I would highly recommend a red nightlight in the room, and put that red nightlight by the changing station, so that if baby does wake in the night and you need to do a diaper change, have enough light to where you don't have to it's the middle of the night, let me flip the lights on, let's do a big old diaper change, right? That's of course going to wake them up and take them out of that sleep state. So if we don't have to turn any lights on, it's just everything stays consistent during that nighttime diaper change or nighttime feeding. It helps them get right back to sleep. The red nightlight simulates the glow of the womb. Red is also a sleep color. We think of blue as a sleep color, but it's not. Red is actually our sleep color. I really like the salt rock lamps too. There's speculation that they also release those negative ions and all of that. So I think the salt rock lamp is nice. I see them on dimmers. I have one on a dimmer, and I love that, because if I am doing a really bad diaper change, or it's like, ooh, we got a blowout, I can turn up the light a little bit more without really changing the sleep environment too much. And when baby does wake in the night, again, keep it dark, quiet, calming. That's not the time to be talking to your babe or singing songs to them or anything like that, right? When I'm diaper changing a baby in the night, if I'm working on sleep training, my eyes are I try and keep my eyes real, almost closed, right? Or I'll like peek out of one eye, because baby's going to be looking to make eye contact with you. Because if they make eye contact with you, that means it's playtime. And a little shot of espresso for you. So one mom was even telling me, well, I'll just wear sunglasses. I was like, that's genius. So yeah, limit eye contact in the night, limit interaction. If baby is getting to a point where they just kind of flip out, they're screaming, they're crying, the first thing you need to do is soothe the baby. We're building trust here, right? Don't worry about pee or poop or anything like that. Hold your baby close. If they're on the changing table, get close to them, put a hand on them. Hold their little hands to their chest if it feels comfortable, not too tight or anything, but shush them, kiss them, soothe them until they relax, and then proceed with the diaper change or proceed with the feeding. We talked about babies liking nicer mattresses. So if you want to consider a mattress topper for the cot, that's fine. Again, just exercise safe sleep precautions. And then last but not least, this is more of like a side note tip for moms or parents who are working on sleep training. Jasmine essential oil is like amazing. Make sure you're using high quality essential oils. I should have probably, when I talked about the chamomile, make sure you know that the oils using are therapeutic grade, that they're kind of quality, right? Jasmine is definitely an expensive essential oil. Very much so. It's pricey, but it is so worth it. And you would actually not use jasmine on baby. Moms, you would use the jasmine on you, or dads, whoever sleep training baby, use that jasmine on you. If you just put a little bit on your forehead or on your hairline right here, it will help you to enter deep sleep faster. So it speculated that you're able to enter REM sleep about 15 minutes sooner with jasmine oil than you would otherwise. And so again, this is kind of just a side tip for you parents to maximize the sleep that you're getting in the night. So some final considerations for us, and again, just a very brief overview. Babies need X amount of calories in 24 hours. That is just fact of the matter. The more that they eat during the day, the less they are going to wake at night for it. And this is essential to recognize to preserve greater sleep durations for you. So any opportunity you get to pop that baby on the boob or to give baby a bottle, do it. Or excuse me, during the day, do it. Or if baby's old enough to where they're eating solids, I mean, you follow a toddler around with like string cheese or anything just to get them to take little bites here and there. All of those calories are going to really help you that they get during daytime hours. The other thing you want to know is that growth spurts are going to challenge the child, without a doubt. Keep up with your structure as much as you can. You may have to alter it a little bit during growth spurts, but try and preserve it as much as possible. Work to return to the routine that you want to be keeping. Okay, and you'll hear people say, "Oh, my baby's in a sleep regression." It's a sleep regression, right? Usually sleep regressions are associated with developmental progressions, right? Maybe baby's getting ready to crawl, maybe baby's getting ready to walk or say their first words or be able to see further, right? All of these progressions, growth and developmental progressions, can sometimes be associated with sleep regression. So be mindful of that. Be considerate of how important the development is for your baby. So I know that's hard to say, to remember in the middle of the night when you're exhausted, but try.
Yeah, I'll throw in right there real quick. I love the Wonder Weeks app or book. Truthfully, I never read the book, but the app I think is awesome. You can plug in your baby's estimated due date. It's all based off of that, not the like actual day they were born. But I found that with all of our kids, it really like hit the nail on the head of like, why aren't they sleeping or why are they so fussy? And that what that shows you is when they're going through those big developmental leaps, they usually are a little fussier or they don't sleep as well. And so you can kind of say, at least check that off your list. You know, if you're looking at like, "Ugh, is it a diaper? Is it this? Is it this?" You can kind of know like they're going into this little stormy period, and it tells you in the app like what exactly it is that they're learning at that point.
Cool.
So you can help them reach those developmental milestones. It gives you tangible ways to help them. And then I think it's just a good reminder of like at night, they're really like myelinating all those neural passageways. Like they wake up because they're turning over in their sleep, and they want to keep practicing this like awesome new skill. And it's super frustrating as parents, and you're just so exhausted. But I think sometimes when you know that that's what it is, you're like, okay, I'm excited for you. If you could sleep a little more, that'd be great. But it's a little bit helpful.
That's a great suggestion. It's very, very important consideration. Yeah, that they're just learning, they're growing every day, and that does absolutely impact their sleep. So be mindful of that. Another note to remember, and I've mentioned this before, don't start anything that you don't want to have to continue doing, right? And last but not least, listen to your baby's cues, right? You as parents know your babies better than anybody else in this whole world, and no two babies are the same. Every baby has a different way of communicating, every baby has different needs at different times, and you're the expert on your baby. So be flexible, read their body language, read their cues, and make those changes as needed. And remember that you're navigating these waters of sleep training together, right? This is not something that you're doing to baby, it's something you're doing with baby, right? And so be responsive to their needs and their just their unique considerations when it comes to sleep training. And what I've mentioned today are, is a very general overview of good sleep habits and sleep solutions, but most every time when it comes to no cry sleep training, we have to customize this, and we have to do some trial and error, figure out, look, this doesn't work for this babe, but this does. And with no cry sleep training, it is totally trial and error, because you're not forcing baby to do anything. You're not depriving them of anything. You're not forcing them to cry it out. So again, this was just a real general overview of some sleep solutions, tips and tricks. If anybody is interested in attending a full sleep solutions class, I kind of thought it might be cool to do even like a virtual class where we maybe had a Facebook group together afterwards where we could like post questions and just maybe support each other in our sleep training endeavors, because I think social support is really important when it comes to this. It's hard work, but still worth it. So if you'd like to maybe do a class, or you'd be interested in doing like personalized consultation, the consultations usually look like me doing a phone or video consult with you, learning everything about your baby's daytime and nighttime routine. I devise a very customized sleep plan for you. You look at implementing it for about a week, and then I will come and visit in home once everything has settled and the risk of viral transmission is reduced. Come and visit in home, and then I'll take a peek around and look if there's any maybe environmental considerations that could be impacting baby sleep. And then I'm usually on call for you for a full month as we do some trial and error and figure out what exactly it is that your baby needs to be extending those sleep durations. And I have a pretty good success rate, and again, it's just because when I support families through sleep training, we're flexible and we're responsive to baby's needs, and that's what those little ones need. So, thanks for joining us today. Anything else you'd like to add, Megan?
No, I think that's great. We will compile these like many different videos we have and download them, and then we'll put them together and post them to our San Antonio Family Support Collective YouTube page. I'll also, that's a long thing, you can search that in YouTube and you'll find us there. There's lots of other workshops that we've done recently that are really, really awesome. So if you're pregnant right now and you want to know about like how you can take care of your body in this stage, or what is postpartum going to look like. This Saturday, we have a class going on about different postpartum stages. So there's some really, really cool stuff happening. Some like comfort measures for labor class that we did. So check us out there, and we'll definitely post the YouTube video there. And then we'll also post that on our social media outlets, so you guys will have the link. But we're sorry, technology is weird, and we're all trying to figure. I'm sure y'all are like rolling your eyes at technology all day long because it's just video after video, and we hope that we can see everyone in person soon. And
Yes.
yes, we're all missing that face-to-face contact for sure.
All right. Well, sweet dreams, everyone.
Yeah, good night. Good luck.